Okay, in this question we are asked to graph this function. Okay, so to graph the function, there are 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3. I guess those are 3 factors from which I can get the zeros. But since there are 3, I know the graph has to look like this or like this. Because it's positive, it's got to look like this one. So it goes low to high. So now what I can use is I can find those zeros to figure out where it crosses, and then I'll graph it. Okay, so here's my graph. Let me just mark off a couple. Okay, so to find the zeros of the function, you let f of x equal 0. So f of x equals 0. So I'll put a 0 there, equals 3x times x plus 2 times x minus 1. So to find the zeros, I can use zero property, because this times this equals 0. One of them has to be 0. So either 3x is 0, or x plus 2 is 0, or x minus 1 is 0. For this first one, to solve for x, I'll divide both sides by 3. So x equals 0 divided by 3 is 0. Here I'll subtract 2 on both sides, so x equals a negative 2. This one I'll add 1 on both sides, so x is equal to positive 1. So at 0, something happens, negative 2, something happens, and 1, something happens. So I have to put that graph onto here. So I think it's going to go something like this, up, down, and then back up. So on the test, if you graphed it something like that, I'll give you points. If you wanted to further sort of figure out how high that graph goes or how low that graph goes, you could plug in a point like negative 1. So I could take that function and plug in a negative 1 everywhere I see an x. So 3 times negative 1 plus 2, negative 1 minus 1. 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. Negative 1 plus 2 would be 1. Negative 1 minus 1 is a negative 2. So if I multiply all that together, I think that comes out to a positive 6. So at an x value of negative 1, the y value is 6. So that point right there has to be up 6. All right, hopefully that helps you graph that cubic function.